Hey everybody, Katie Armstrong here of the Ohm Collection and Inspired Living. Today I wanted to reach out because a theme that has run through my life over and over again is now up, and it's reminding me of something that I think will help you. So specifically, it's a season change. It's starting to get very cold here. But I'm also in the midst of a really big move. So I am picking up my primary home and I'm moving across the country, and my whole family's doing it, and we're doing it very fast. So there's some chaos. So in the midst of the seasonal change and my own personal chaos, I'm being reminded of some themes that happen to be my November theme for my Inspired Living newsletter, which is how to make the most of all the chaos of the holidays and to set yourself up for success by creating really honest expectations. So one thing I just wanted to mention is with my coaching clients, and I am my primary client, obviously, the same lessons come up again and again and again with the opportunity to experience them at a greater depth and a greater richness. And if you can allow that repetition, it's kind of like a spiral, you will not only have like a deep grok or understanding of profound wisdom, but it will continue to work on you in a way that connects you to the divine, connects you to the greater wisdom of the universe. And in the midst of that like repetitive lesson is an opportunity to connect to your ancestors, because as we enter the holidays, a time when ritual and celebration are often things that are carried through from past generations, it's more than just like a tradition in the sense of like something that you can do that's light and fluffy and cultural. It often is embedded with deep, deep knowledge. So let's look at that, right? Some of the obvious holidays, I think at least in the Western world, are Thanksgiving and Christmas, and these opportunities in the shortest days when it's dark to have lights and color and to gather among people that we love and to share bounty. So if you think about this historically, like I'm talking hundreds, if not thousands of years, in the darkest time of year when you're not currently harvesting, you had to share the bounty of different cultures in an effort to truly survive and have diversity of food. It was often the time when people would come together to just lighten the mood and lift their spirits, because it was tough. Can you imagine like trudging through the snow without any modern technology, lighting fires to stay warm? Like the challenges of the winter were complemented by the celebrations of the season, like the holidays and again the ceremony and the ritual. And often even like from a food perspective, the sacrifices of animals as a way to have the calories that were needed, the dense, heavy calories that are still being utilized for so many of the winter holidays. So we're entering this season of celebration, but it's also pretty chaotic, especially in the modern world. It feels like it's become so much more about running around buying gifts, or a feeling of there's never enough time to do all the things you want to do. And sure, there are all these holiday events, but there's a sense of burden. And it's my belief that part of the reason that there feels like a disconnect between the intent behind the holiday season and how it started to feel is that we've lost the connection to the why that created it. And in some ways, it isn't honoring the fact that it was based on a seasonality. So, we have more contact with more people now than ever, and we have the ability to fly places, and there's the expectation of these gifts bought online, and they're from all over the world. None of that would have been true as these holidays were originally being built. I mean, at most, you'd be going somewhere you could like sled, and you were probably seeing the handful of people that were closest to you, and you were probably making the gift. So there was an element of meditation and intention and planning and like deep, heartfelt, personal commitment and sacrifice to the building of these ceremonies and experiences, which made them a more rich experience. If you're not a part of my Inspired Living newsletter, I do encourage you to head over to my personal page, which I will link here. My name again is Katie Armstrong, if you guys are just joining. And Inspired Living, Katie at Inspired Live, I'm sorry. inspiredliving.coach is my website where you could easily sign up. That's actually probably the easiest place to find me. But we this coming month are tapping into all the different ways that you can set yourself up for success during the holidays. So health is one of my primary priorities. So again, so many people have anxiety over gaining weight through the holidays, or if they're an athlete, not being able to maintain their fitness regime. Similarly, it can create a financial burden and a sense of anxiety around being around family dynamics. And I think that one's going to be up for a lot of people this year because it's been a couple years since we were really able to gather in groups over the holidays. But this year we probably can, fingers crossed. And that's going to bring up a lot of emotion for a lot of people. So I'm fleshing out those different details in my various newsletters over the course of November, but I wanted to speak to it live here. So let's look at health first. If we're busier, we have less time for workouts. If the days are shorter, there's less hours in the day that we can get outside and enjoy the sunshine and be physically active. Similarly, if we're going to a lot of celebrations where there's a lot of candy or heavy proteins like lots of meats and cheeses, that can be different than the way we eat, especially if we're health focused. But what if we actually leaned on the intelligence of our ancestors and recognized that seasonality of activity and food are actually really, really good for you? Changing up how you eat and how you move your body are vital for long-term resilience. So as a competitive triathlete, the winters were all about power. And they were actually about eating really heavy foods and putting on muscle mass, building the body. Creates more heat for the cold months. It actually gives you more physical mass. So when it is summertime and you're starting to build the cardio and move, you're more resilient. You'll end up leaning out, you'll end up thinning out, but you had more power to start the process, which means you can work harder, faster, and actually build whatever it is you're working towards in a safer way. And so what if you thought about this holiday season not as a threat to your health, but recognized that the opportunity to gather in groups and eat these more rich foods was actually a chance to be more powerful? How would that affect the workouts you chose to do? Instead of an hour-long cardio workout, what if you were focused more on muscle building through weights? If you similarly have so many activities, running your kids around or going to events or trying to get the shopping list taken care of, and you only have half an hour, how can you maximize that half an hour workout? Don't see it as, oh man, I can only do half an hour and skip it. Guarantee you those red and green holiday M&Ms are going to create some just extra weight on the hips if you do that. But if instead you're I have 30 minutes, I'm going to knock this out. How do I keep my heart rate up? How do I work large muscle groups? That 30-minute workout will leave you sore, allow you to build muscle, and allow you to keep thriving with the lifestyle that is so true during the holidays. So that's just one piece. Second, this is a dark season. This is typically a season where historically people would spend more time inside. But that means that they need to get their vitamin D by being in the sunshine intentionally. It's not going to happen as accidentally as it would during the summer months. So I invite you to find time to go outside even for 10 minutes and just let the sun hit your face. Open your eyes and allow it to just be absorbed through the system. And consider taking supplements. Vitamin D supplements are a great thing to include in your routine in the winter. Also, intentionally introducing some self-care into your time over the winter as a reflection, hot baths, drinking hot tea, the rituals again that would have been so precious, sitting by a fire historically can nurture you now as well. And again, my newsletter is going to flesh these topics out even more, but I do want to touch on the fact that this can be a heightened emotional time for people as they start entering into the dark season and entering into the holiday season for all kinds of different reasons. It is a special period of time. It's something that we look forward to. It's a demarcation in our calendar year that helps us reflect. But if we've had a loss during that time, or it hasn't met our expectations, or it presses against some part of ourselves that is needing attention, like financial stability or health or a lack of love or anything really, it can be very triggering. So I'm inviting you, before we drop into the most the pinnacle of this celebratory holiday season, to spend some time with yourself, asking what do you want it to be for you? What are the triggers that you anticipate, and how can you work with them in advance to allow this holiday season to be an opportunity to practice your highest truth, to be present for the wounded parts of the self, or the parts of the self that are asking for growth, development, transition, change, because the mind and the heart are very powerful. And if you can look ahead and recognize places that could be triggering or difficult, but play out in your mind's eye what a more enlightened version of that experience would be. Like if it's a family member that triggers you in the same way, like how do you want to respond to them if you weren't getting triggered and you feel the experience of that change, the other way of being? Or if you recognize that you have a tendency to overspend during the holidays, like how can you set yourself up for success through a budget or through making your gifts, and start now in the process of healing these wounds that are at times very much up and very much triggered through the holidays. So again, my name is Katie Armstrong. I am the owner of a clothing brand called the Om Collection. We are a women-owned business that it makes our clothes either in Bali, where we support local cultures and work with a family that's just incredible, and we make the other half here in the United States out of recycled fabric. So if you're looking for a small business to support through the holidays, please check out theomcollection.com. But I'm also the founder of a coaching business called Inspired Living. This content lives there, and if you haven't already, please join my newsletter at inspiredliving.coach. We send out what I like to think of as breadcrumbs on the path to enlightenment, towards personal growth, towards living a life you truly love. As a business consultant, lawyer, and business owner, I do my best to weave both the life skills and business acumen that can allow you to empower yourself, and all of the more personal practices that I think are what keep you on the path long term, keep you excited about just pursuing your own best version of self. So I'd love for you to join our newsletter there and share this as well as any of our content if it feels inspiring or helpful for you. And if this is, if we're new to meeting each other, hi. I hope we meet each other in person someday, and I just hope you have the best holiday season this year.